In North America, we have a culture that encourages financial discipline, saving for rainy days, and avoiding purchasing things that we don't need. That's the real reason why we decided to close down our shopping malls and retail stores and instead spend more time at home being self-reliant. North America has officially left consumerist culture behind. That didn't sound quite right, did it? Let's try that again. In North America, we have a culture that encourages financial indulgence, living for today, and happily purchasing things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't know. As shopping malls and retail stores began to reopen, people are foaming at the mouths to start their spending habits with renewed passion. North America has officially started the second wave of consumerism. At the beginning of this month, I was reviewing my cash flows from the previous month and was happy to see what I normally do see, a healthy amount of savings. 70% savings to be exact. Curious to see how this compared to others, I searched up some data on historical savings rates. What I found left me with mixed feelings to say the least. According to the website Trading Economics, the savings rate in America has hovered around 7% for the past number of years, sometimes even dipping below 5%. Seeing these numbers first made me feel really great about how much money I was saving, but then my mood quickly turned sour as I realized how hard of a time that other people were having. How could there be such a massive gap? How could I be saving 63% more of my money than other people are? For a long time, I didn't really think I was living my life differently than other people. But after building my wealth at a rate that far exceeded the people around me, it became clear. I was living my life differently than other people, though perhaps not in an obvious way. What it really came down to was the fact that I was making a few simple choices that most people don't. The first difference was that I had a very clear and defined goal. I knew that as soon as I landed my first full-time job, I was going to attempt to save at least 50% of my income. And at this point in my life, that meant that I would be moving from my small hometown of 10,000 people, 400 kilometers away, all the way to the big city of downtown Toronto to live all by myself. And the first job I landed had a starting salary of just $47,500. So yeah, you can say that I had my work cut out for me. The reason why I had such a high savings rate is because I knew that I wanted to pursue FIRE. Not this kind of fire, this kind of fire. Careful we don't mix the two. FIRE is just an acronym that stands for Financial Independence Retire Early. But me, I don't want to retire early. I like to think I'll always be working on one thing or another for my entire life. I just simply didn't want to be working for someone else. That's where the financial independence part comes in. I knew that in order to be able to walk away from a traditional job, I'd first have to extract as much money as possible from it and then keep that money. That's why I aimed for a 50% savings rate in my first year. And so I'd like to show you exactly what I did in that first year so you can see how normal my life was and still very much is today. So the very first thing that I knew I needed to find was an apartment, and I realized that my apartment would be my single largest living expense. So I spent a great deal of time looking for this apartment, and I quickly realized just how competitive and cutthroat and expensive the Toronto rental market is. Luckily, I had a credit score above 800, which helped me stand out amongst the competition. Building a good credit score is so important. And this is something that I definitely like to share more tips with you guys on, but for now, I would say that it's definitely a good idea to check what your credit score is right now and to regularly monitor it. The way I personally do this is through Borrowwell. It's super easy and fast to check your score, and best of all, it's free. There's also a lot of helpful tips on there in terms of what's impacting your credit score. Don't worry about Borrowwell affecting your credit score or anything like that. It does not affect your score at all if you check it using this service, because it's not a hard inquiry on your credit score. So you could check it as much as you want, and it's completely free and it's completely secure. So I'll put a link down in the description below so that you guys can check your credit score the exact same way that I do. So after a few months of searching, and yes, I did say months, I finally found a place that I love for the right price. I found this 1-bedroom apartment 3 years ago for $1,600 per month. These were the original listing pictures, and as you can see, it's not too shabby at all, especially when you consider that the average rental price in Toronto is $2,103 according to rentals.ca. I still probably could have found a place that was even cheaper, but something that I did and something that you'll have to do too is drawing the line for yourself. You'll have to find that line that kind of walks the balance between making you happy, being at a level that makes you content, but also allows you to live well within your means. I knew that I could probably stretch my budget a little bit farther and find a place that I was ecstatic about, or something that I knew that could impress friends or whatever, but I knew that that wouldn't actually translate into real happiness, and I valued my freedom that I would get through growing my savings so much more than that. Did you think you were watching Fast and Furious there for a second? Did you ever notice how much in those movies, how much of the shots were just them hitting the gas pedal or shifting gears or whatever? But I still love them. I still love them. Anyway, so the next thing that I knew would be my single biggest expense would be transportation. So I had to determine how I was going to get around, basically. After rent, my next biggest expense would be a car if I decided to get one. So I decided not to. Oh, what's this then? Well, it's actually not my car, it's my girlfriend's car. So I kind of got lucky in that regard, I guess you could say, but we only really started using this a few months ago. For the better part of the past 3 years, it was this bad boy right here. I bought this baby off Kijiji for $200, and I actually rode it basically into the heart of downtown every day to get to work when it wasn't winter, and it was about a 20-kilometer round trip there and back. Now, that might sound crazy to some of you, biking in a downtown of a big city like this, but honestly, I really enjoyed it. Now, don't get me wrong, it is a little bit scary when you first start out, but once you get the hang of it, it's really nice. I mean, biking alongside either massive tall skyscrapers or even just under the canopy of really old trees is actually really nice. So now that those expenses were nice and low, the final big expense to address was... That's right, the way you eat will 100% play a role in your finances. Now, fortunately for me, I've always enjoyed cooking at home, but that can get expensive too really fast if you're not careful. So I want to show you guys this simple trick that I do to really save me a whole bunch of time and money. I call it batch cooking, and essentially all you do is you strategically plan out your meals so that you can cook a large portion of something and then basically eat it throughout the week. So lately, Justine's been bugging me to buy some deli meats that we can make sandwiches. Now, we went to the grocery store and I saw that it was like at least $4 for 100 grams of meat. Now, that is ungodly expensive. I mean, I just went to the butcher and I can get a whole pound of meat for that price depending on what you get. So I ended up just buying a nice roast of beef, and then I did a little nice rub for it with some garlic, thyme, olive oil, salt, and pepper, and just crushed that up in a mortar and pestle and then rubbed it all over, and there you go. And then you just shave it into some thin strips, and there you go. You have a whole bunch of really good sandwich meat that you just made at home that you can pile on top of a beautiful sandwich like this one. And now you've got lunch for days that's easy to make, it's healthy for you, and it saves you a ton of time and money. So basically, I just stuck to these main parts of my plan and saw my savings rate actually increase over the years all the way up to 70%. And that was when my girlfriend actually moved in with me. Now, I'm somebody who really values their own time and privacy and space, but if you can live with a roommate or a significant other, I highly recommend it because it just does wonders for your savings. I mean, it'll be like Vin Diesel just pumps some NOS in there for you. Now at this point, I'd actually like to show you the coolest part about my savings rate being 70%. So if you made it this far in the video, this one's for you. According to this really neat calculator on networthify.com, I can retire in 8.8 years starting from zero with a savings rate of 70%. But since I already started building my wealth to $90,000, now I'm only 6.8 years away. That would put me at only 33 years old. So the way this calculator works is basically it assumes that your spending habits relative to your income aren't going to change over time, which is a pretty big assumption. And it also assumes that you're going to be investing your money in something that earns at least a 4% return that you can kind of pull that money from and not affect your principal. And this is something that I intend to do through index fund ETFs. I'd encourage you to really play around with this calculator so that you can get excited about your own savings. I'll put a link for this also down below next to the Borrowell link, so you can don't forget to check your credit score too with that one. And with all that being said, that's going to be it for me today, guys. Oh, actually, one more thing I almost forgot. If you want to, you can follow me on Instagram. I've actually been posting some stuff over there that's kind of exclusive to Instagram. I've been interacting with the audience over there exclusively on that platform, so feel free to follow along over there as well. Give the like button some love if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe if you're not already so that we can get you financially independent in no time. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you again soon.